James Gunn's Superman is now showing in cinemas, so here's my review of Superman. A lot is riding on this movie. Not only is DC's future as a cinematic universe in the hands of this film, but it's also coming out in a time where movie audiences have slowly become fatigued to the superhero genre. Add to that the fact that there's a certain toxic fan base out there actively trying to bring this movie down way before it even comes out in an attempt to restore something that's been long dead, a la General Zod. To put it simply, this movie needs to be good. So, how did Superman do? Let's start with the positives first. Much like its title character Superman, who is unafraid to look a little silly by wearing his trunks outside his pants, this movie is unapologetically very comic booky. It wears its trunks loud and proud, over-the-top concepts you never thought you'd see make it to a live-action movie are here, and it embraces it with open arms. You're gonna hear this a lot from people talking about this movie, but it genuinely feels like a comic book come to life. And for a movie with a lot riding on its back, I have to commend them for being unafraid to take huge risks, to go all out and not worry about whether or not people will find certain concepts silly. But I do have to be clear though, it's comic booky, but not to the point where you no longer buy the stakes and nothing feels real anymore. I personally think that it walks this fine line of comic book camp and heartfelt human story really well, because this movie is the most human Superman's ever been. Speaking of, let's talk about the man himself, Superman, played by David Corenswet. This man is Superman. Not since Christopher Reeve have we gotten an actor who can pull off both Superman and Clark Kent. Because you gotta remember, when you're playing Superman, you're playing two parts, and I think Corenswet nails both of them. Brandon Routh was great at playing Clark Kent, although his Superman felt a little restrained, almost monotone. Cavill didn't really have a clear distinction between the two. His Clark Kent and Superman were basically the same person, and he was also monotone as both of them. So I personally think Corenswet is the first true successor to the Superman role. As Clark Kent, he's this bumbling reporter that gets picked on a lot, but as Superman, he's this mighty yet friendly figure who genuinely wants to do good. That's another thing I really liked about his performance. His goodness doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel like an act. You buy into the fact that this all-powerful being is a good person. Everyone on this movie was genuinely cast really well. But the main trio of this movie specifically was really great. I really liked Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. There was a lot of focus on Clark and Lois's relationship in this movie, and I really love the banter between the two. Their chemistry is through the roof, and you really buy them as a couple. You've probably seen clips of it from the trailers, but the scene where Lois interviews Clark as Superman was really good. It does a great job of telling you all you need to know about who Clark is as a person and who Lois is as a person. Clark is a childlike optimist who has a very simple view on right and wrong, while Lois is a cynical realist who sees the world for what it is and not what she would like it to be. Right and wrong isn't so simple for her, and Rachel Brosnahan does a really great job portraying this version of Lois Lane. Nicholas Hoult was picture perfect as Superman's biggest hater, Lex Luthor. For most of the movie, he was a man bubbling with hatred and jealousy towards Superman, but there are moments in this movie where you see his vulnerability. And I think Nicholas Hoult does an excellent job portraying these moments of vulnerability, at times even without words. I also really like this film's overall message. In a world where being mean is the norm, Superman shows us that being kind is the new punk rock. You're not being cool or edgy when you're mean or when you say things like, "I'd be Homelander if I had superpowers." Now, just because we got to spend the night with Superman at the Superman fan event during the Superman Manila tour doesn't mean we're gonna go easy on them. So allow me to pull a Lois Lane and talk about some of the things I think they could have improved upon. I do feel at times the movie could be a bit overwhelming because of the amount of things happening at the same time, especially during the final act where everything kind of blows up and we got a bunch of crazy things happening all at once. So I do wonder if non-comic book readers or people who are going to be introduced to Superman for the first time are going to be able to catch up or process everything that's been thrown at them. I myself am a comic book reader, but I couldn't help but think of everyone else who might be coming into this movie with a blank slate, knowing completely nothing of the comics or its characters. Although I did see this movie twice already, once at the premiere and the second time with my family, and not everyone in my family reads comic books, but they really liked the movie and they were able to process everything. but I wouldn't be surprised if someone who walked into this completely blind would feel overwhelmed after watching it. There's also a surprise reveal in the third act that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I obviously won't talk about it here because this is a non-spoiler review. But overall, I thought this movie was really good. It's got great performances, a clear love for the character that emanates through the screen, a great message, and best of all, it gets Superman right. It ain't perfect, but like I said, I've seen this movie twice and it's only gotten better the second time around. And the good in this movie far outweighs its minor imperfections. I feel like this is the type of movie that I'm gonna love more and more with each rewatch, like The Batman, because there's so many things that happened and you could have missed it during the first watch and only appreciate after a few more watches. So yeah, go give Superman a watch. It's a great fresh new start for the DC universe, and as a DC fan, I'm definitely excited for what's to come. So far, in my opinion, July's Super Fantastic World Summer is 2 for 2. Jurassic World was decent, Superman was great, and I'm hoping Fantastic Four nails it and gives us a trifecta of back-to-back good movies.